Hello, everybody. How we doing?
So good evening. Oop, get this a little closer. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. Find it.
Just give us 1 second.
My chamber. Thank God you heard it. Thank you.
So I know it's early in the school year, but this is something that we will become very proficient at doing as the school year continues to roll along. This is our celebrating excellence event of the school year. And again, we do not have a very large turnout. I feel like it's the beginning part of the year in its first period where you got a whole people that are sort of sleeping right now. But I see a couple of bright faces that we're going to recognize this evening in the audience. And again, over the school year, we're going to have an opportunity to do this several times over where we recognize all forms of excellence. Excellence on the field, excellence in the classroom, excellence in the auditoriums, right? In our music areas. So I'm going to get started with this evening's presentation. The way that this will go is, again, I'll announce whatever the topic is. I'll go through a little piece, probably invite a couple of special guests up to join me for each of those moments. We're going to read the kids' names who were successful in those respective areas. At the end of that, we're going to bring them forward for everybody to take a lot of pictures and embarrass the kids to the best of your ability. So please take advantage of that moment. Take lots of pictures. Board has a beautiful card and a button that they were able to pull together for the event. So again, it should be a really special evening. And again, for those of you that don't know, my name is Paul Defendini, the very proud superintendent here in Farmingdale Schools. The first celebrating excellence moment that we're going to have for this evening is our National Merit Scholars. And I think I saw Ms. Stillwell and Mr. Herman. Could you please join me up here on stage? Farmingdale High School is thrilled to celebrate the outstanding accomplishments of students in the 71st National Merit Scholarship Program. Colin Ramos has advanced to the semifinals, an incredible honor that places him among the nation's top academic achievers. As a semifinalist, he now has the exciting opportunity to continue in the competition for a National Merit Scholarship by showcasing his exceptional academics, leadership, and accomplishments. Winners will be announced between April and July, and the school community will be cheering him on every step of the way. The district also proudly recognizes Christopher Cruciata, William Herbert, Nicholas Zito, and Anthony McKee as commended students. This honor places them among the top 50,000 students nationwide who excelled on the 2024 PSAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. While they may not be advancing to the semifinalists, their remarkable achievement reflects outstanding academic potential, putting them among some of the nation's brightest students. And we look forward to seeing their continued success for the remainder of this school year and in the years to come. Congratulations to you all. Your dedication and hard work make the Farmingdale community very, very proud. If you're out in the audience, could you please join us up here? We'll start with Colin Ramos.
Right there.
Yeah, go up there. And national semifinals qualifiers got Christopher Cruciata, William Herbert, Nick Zito, so Nick, and Anthony McKee.
Picture? Yeah. Sir.
my God. Game changer. Game changer. Anthony, Nick, stay here. You're next. Stay right there. Right here.
We're back.
And then where this actually all started, the namesake of this Celebrating Excellence actually started from the celebration that we've always had for our valedictorian and salutatorian. Farmingdale High School is proud to announce the valedictorian and salutatorian of the class of 2026, Nicholas Zito and Anthony McKee. Both have shown remarkable dedication, leadership, and academic excellence throughout their high school careers. Nicholas earned the distinction of valedictorian by achieving the highest cumulative GPA among 426 students, while Anthony secured the salutatorian honor with his outstanding academic achievements falling just below Mr. Zito. As valedictorian and salutatorian, Nicholas and Anthony will deliver speeches at Farmingdale's graduation ceremony on June 16th, 2026 at Hofstra University. They will also be honored along with their families at a celebratory breakfast hosted by the Nassau County Council of School Superintendents, joined by Mr. Herman and myself, get a chance to go out to breakfast with all of the valedictorians and salutatorians from across Long Island. It is really an unbelievable morning where you just see some of the best and the brightest from around Long Island come together for Nassau County come together for a very special morning. Humbling when you're in a room full of people who are pretty much all collectively more intelligent than you are. And that's what it is that we have up here on the stage. Farmingdale School District congratulates Nick Zito and Anthony McKee on this extraordinary achievement. Their commitment to excellence exemplifies the very best of our students, and we are proud to celebrate their accomplishments. I look forward to doing this on 100 more occasions over the course of the upcoming school year, because there will certainly be more times where we could celebrate the two of you and your incredible achievement. Congratulations to Nick and to Anthony. Absolutely. Picture. Second pin. Don't lose it. They get 2 pins, man. They earned them. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Herman. Thank you, Ms. Stillwell. I'm going to ask Mr. Warnikowski to join me up on stage for this next very special award. The New York State School Music Association, NYSSMA, has announced that 11 exceptional musicians from Farmingdale High School have been chosen to perform at the esteemed 2025 NYSSMA Winter Conference. In addition, 2 students have been selected as alternates, highlighting the excellence of the district's music program and its continued recognition throughout the state. The all-state musicians are considered the cream of the crop and are selected through a very rigorous audition process that includes solo evaluations. The selected Farmingdale musicians include a diverse range of instrumentalists and vocalists, reflecting our school's comprehensive music curriculum. Their hard work, dedication, and passion for music have earned them this distinguished opportunity, and they are eager to represent their school and community at this upcoming conference. Congratulations to all these outstanding musicians. Your talent, your discipline, your passion for music bring pride and inspiration to the entire Farmingdale family. I'm going to invite Mr. Warnikowski to come up and read the names of the students that were selected for All-State 2025.
Thank you very much. It truly is. I have so much admiration for our students who go to NYSSMA, practice so hard to achieve such a high level, but to be able to get that 100 perfect score, it's not easy to do. But just so everybody understands, when you make All-State or you make All-State alternate, it's not just that 100. Many students across Long Island and New York State get 100, and they still don't make All-State. It's that competitive. So to see how many students here from Farmingdale make it and actually get to go to Rochester to All-State is just an incredible achievement. And some of our students made it into 3 groups, some into 2 groups, some into 3 groups. It's just exceptional here in Farmingdale. So congratulations to all of them. So I'm going to announce their names and invite them all to come forward. First is Jackson Defendini.
Takes after his mother.
Congratulations, Jackson. Peter Esposito. Some of them could not make it tonight. Some are also athletes and involved in other conflicts that they had, so we want to applaud for all of them equally. Nicholas Sawalski. William Herbert. Dylan Moritz. Christopher Krishada. Leo Scardina. Ashley Betts. We're going to get one soon. Kaylee Murphy. We're getting there. Hey, Kaylee. Devanshi Aurora. And Grace Stabile. And Sarah Soul. And Leah Fredonis. Okay, did I get everybody's name? Yes, I miss anybody? All right, congratulations to all of our All-State students. Thank you, Mr. Defendini.
Can I have my team up here? Oh yeah, you. So some of you may not know, and this is the last award of this evening, so thank you for staying with us. The New York State School Boards Association recognized October 13th to 17th as School Board Recognition Week, a time to honor the vital role our local school boards play in our communities. Public schools form the bedrock of our communities and our country, and democracy thrives when citizens are educated, capable of critical thinking, and engaged in civil discourse. It is our local school boards who make all of this possible, guiding and supporting student success at every step of the way. During this week, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to the members of our local school board. Your dedication, vision, and tireless commitment ensure that every student has the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to thrive. Your leadership not only strengthens our schools, but also is the very future for our community. Thank you for championing excellence in education and for making a lasting difference in the lives of our students. On a personal note, as a superintendent, where this stuff gets very, very complicated at times, and sometimes the job could be made to feel thankless, I assure you, it is not a thankless job. You are thanked by the many. We have tremendous gratitude for the work that you put in, for the tireless amounts of donated time. Right? This is a non-paid position, in which case you just give of your time willingly to try to do the right thing by kids at every turn. And one heartfelt superintendent to you, I thank you very much. I know my team feels the same way with regard to the support and the collaboration. Even during the difficult times and the difficult conversations we have, there's still that sense of respect and rapport that we've gotten to know, getting to know you guys. So again, just thank you very much for being who you are. We're celebrating you tonight. We're going to actually do something a little more formal at the November meeting. During the week of October 13th to the 18th, we have some of our kids, and again, this is truly an organic process, are going to be pulling some things together for you, and they'll join you at the November meeting to present them to you themselves. So more to come in November, but for now, thank you very much for everything that you do with the upcoming school board recognition upon us. Congratulations. No. Anyone good with the camera out there? There you go. Thank you, Ms. Stillwell.
It'll be like this. A lot just happened.
Oh. And again, if history repeats itself, I have a strange feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of the same students that were up on stage tonight a few more times throughout the school year. So again, this concludes this evening's Celebrating Excellence event. And I welcome you to hopefully a future one when you're going to be celebrated for some of the great thing that you're going to be doing, because it seems to be the case that our students are pretty well-rounded and they seem to pull things off in a lot of different ways. So see you real soon. Have a safe night home tonight, folks, and take good care. Bye-bye.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Board of Education. The Board of Education is interested in encouraging members of the public to share their ideas, comments, and questions. Public participation opportunities will be available at the beginning and end of this meeting, and as stated in board policy, no person shall speak for more than 3 minutes, and each period of public participation will be limited to 30 minutes. If you have any questions or concerns regarding matters on the consent agenda through the items for discussion, it may be important for you to utilize the first public participation opportunity. You may also send your feedback and questions to us through our email account at boe@farmingdaleschools.org. The board expects members of the public to speak in a respectful and courteous manner, as students are typically present for our meetings. Comments related to specific personnel matters or regarding a specific student should be made pursuant to Board Policies 1400 and 1440 and are otherwise not permitted to be made during public session. Questions and comments will be shared with members of the Central Administrative Team who will respond in a timely fashion. Persons appearing before the Board of Education are reminded, as a point of information, that board members are without authority to act independently as individuals in official matters. Thus, although questions may be directed to the entire board or to an individual board member, answers may be deferred pending consideration by the board or for further discussion with central administration. As always, we thank you for your anticipated courtesy and cooperation. In the event of fire and/or if you hear the fire bell, you must leave the building. The nearest exit is in the rear of this auditorium. Please stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Mr. Defendini. May we have, or do we have any old business to address this evening?
Yes, we do. We have a few old business items that are on the agenda that came up at the last meeting. The first one has to do with a transportation request at Northside that came up last month. I know Mr. Motisi, Mr. Medina, as well as myself to a degree, have been working to get a little bit more information connected to this. I'll turn it over to Mr. Motisi, who can share some of what he has discovered and then entertain a conversation with the board about some possible next steps.
Thank you, Mr. Defendini. So as Paul had mentioned, the request did come to the board at the last month's meeting. I believe there was a petition that was presented, signed by a couple of parents residing in the North Side area that were requesting for a study to be done, or that a designation to be made to for a child safety zone along Melville Road. So what a child safety zone is it's a section of the law regarding pupil transportation for schools, where if there's a hazardous condition, that it could be deemed a child safety zone, and an exception may be able to be made to the mileage limits that the voters have approved for transportation within a school district. So as an example, here in Farmingdale, let me just pull it up for a second. We transport for a half mile and for a mile for elementaries. And then a mile for 6 to 12. So that's the mileage limit that the voters approved many, many years ago. So if you live more than a half mile from an elementary school, you're eligible for transportation. For 6 to 12, it's 1 mile. Those are in excess of the state limits, which are actually 2 miles and 3 miles. So that's why it's required to have a voter approval on that. The exception to that is when you have something known as a child safety zone. So in Farmingdale, there is a child safety zone. There's actually 2 child safety zones. One is down by Albany Avenue with a crossing over of the Southern State Parkway. And the other one is along the train tracks over here in the North Side area when you're going from heading from North Side down to Howitt. So both of those were deemed child safety zones, making that anyone who's not eligible for transportation now would become eligible for transportation based on a voter referendum that was presented to the public after the study was done in those 2 areas. So over the last few weeks since the September meeting, Mark and I have been working closely with our legal counsel. We've been talking with the state. I did call a few districts that recently did this, because it's been a long time since this has happened in Farmingdale, and Mark and I have never been a partner, a part of that in this district. So we did what we found out what we could find out, and I'm gonna give you the lowdown on all of that right now. So basically, there's two options. There's a petition could be presented to the board, in which case the board would be required to have a child safety zone study done for a certain area. The petition would have to meet 5% of the voters from the previous budget vote. So 5% of whatever the number was that showed up in May would have a petition with that amount of signatures would need to be presented to the board, and then the board would be required to have this study conducted. The other option is if the board feels that there is something here that warrants a child safety zone study, the board can then, we can have a discussion tonight about directing the district to have that study performed. The study would be conducted by an independent contractor. The independent contractor will go off of a point system. It's a multiple day study. They would come down here. He's from upstate somewhere. I did get somebody's name. They recently did it in another school district. He performed the study and found that it was in fact a child safety zone. They did put it before the public for a vote, and it was passed. Proximate cost right now, I'm estimating about $10,000 to have the study done with all the travel costs and all of that. That's based on the figures that the other school district had explained to me. Over those 3 days, the study will conduct, they will look at traffic flow, they'll look at frequency, they'll look at speeds, they'll look at posted speed signs, sidewalks, lights, etc. That all goes into the study. If the study is found to be a child safety zone, it then goes in two directions. Number one, depending on how many students that would impact, we may need to add additional buses into service in order to provide that sort of transportation. If it were to come at an additional cost to the district, we would need to present it before the voters at the May budget vote in order to pass the child safety zone. If it does not come at an additional cost to the district, it can be effective almost immediately as soon as we can figure out the bus routes for it. So the first part of this really is, do we want to move forward with this study? After making that decision, we would then have the study conducted. We would contract with this professional to have the work done, and then we would have to make the determination of whether or not he would make the determination as to whether or not this is a child safety zone. Once that determination is made, then we would have to see how many students are implicated by this child safety zone and whether or not it would come at an additional cost to the district in order to determine the next steps moving forward. If there is no child safety zone designation, then there's no further action that's needed to be taken. It's really everything that I wanted to say tonight regarding what we found out and the conversations that we've had. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board has regarding this situation or any other ones.
I have a question. It might be hard to say, but any idea how long, if we go ahead and have this survey done, how long it might take?
It'll probably take me a couple of weeks to arrange for him to come down. We'd have to get a purchase order in place. I'd have to see, if I'm accurate on the thresholds. Then I have to look through my procurement practices to make sure that I get all the applicable quotes, whether it's a sole source. I know he's not the only one that does it, so I would most likely have to get a couple of quotes on this service. And then, like I said, once you schedule him to come down here, it takes about 3 days for him to do the study, and then probably a couple of weeks, a week or two to write the report, something like that. So you're probably a month or two out.
And Mike, I think you might have just answered this, but if we opt to go forward with the child safety zone study, is there a time within which it must be completed altogether in order for you to make a recommendation, or for the person to make the recommendation to us about whether or not it qualifies?
No, I don't. There's no time limit on that. It's just getting the study done. Yes, if the petition was presented with the 5% of the voters' signatures, then there would be a 30-day window that we would be obligated to perform this in.
But when he does the study, how long does he have before he has to send it back to us? Is it 6 months?
There's no
Oh,
no limit that I know of.
Okay, thank you.
And if they do find it to be a safety issue, and you say the referendum would be based on whether there was an additional cost or not, that additional cost would be borne by if we needed another bus, or
Yeah, the additional cost would be busing. So if we have to add buses into service above what we have right now, that would need to go before the voters in the community to say, yes, this is a child safety zone. We agree that this hazard is something that needs to get built into the budget, and yes, we approve this expense. Because now you're changing the mileage limit over there.
right? And what would determine a no-cost option if we were to be able to amend a current bus route for an existing route?
Yeah, so
That would-
like as an example, if we don't know how many students or families this would impact, so if you're only going to be impacting one family, yeah, there might not be any additional cost. If we're going to be talking about 20 to 30 students, then we have to look at other options, maybe. Again, I don't know the answer yet because I don't know what the designation would be and the houses that would be impacted and all that.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Motisi? Are there any objections by the board to instruct the district to go forward with the study to be done for the child safety zone on Melville Road? No. Okay. So with no objections, Mike, we authorize the district to go forward at this point with the study to be done to determine whether there is a child safety zone on Melville Road.
No problem, Mr. Morales. We'll move forward with it, and like I said, I do anticipate that it will be below the bidding threshold, so this is something that I will work with our purchasing agent on, and hopefully by next month I will have an update as to where we are with that and how we're progressing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have just 4 more, but the other ones should be pretty quick. I think the breath of fresh air that we've all experienced within the last several months has been the addition of our ex officio student board members. So we have a couple of responses to some of the inquiries that they had brought up. I think Deanna and Emily, you both had a conversation with Mrs. Stillwell about the mini college fair. Again, great questions connected to that. I think they have another follow-up that they're going to offer as far as additional suggestions. But the college fair, the mini fair, is something that is scripted by an outside organization. There's limited amounts of access that we have to make any amendments to the mini college fair because they schedule themselves very specifically at certain schools. So no problem working with them and working through some of that stuff, but there were some limitations there. A great question with regard to cell phones, since we did go through our policy of banning cell phones, district-wide, which, by the way, has been a profoundly, I think, and kids might not agree, but beneficial circumstance for our schools. It's actually to the point where the other day, Mr. Herman and I were talking about getting some donations for board games in the cafeterias because kids are now actually taking to playing cards, and you see little Uno games popping up and things of the sort. So a good problem to have, where I think there's a little more face-to-face communication than there was before it. But one of the things that came up was there are certain academic circumstances where you have to have exceptions. And we built that into the policy. If you remember when we built that policy last spring, we did include into the policy a provision that allows us the ability to give a teacher the leeway to say, no, they need it for academic purposes. So we just needed to make sure that we refreshed everybody, and everybody understands that, for an example that was used was an art class, right, where you need it in order to be able to take pictures, to make sure that everybody knows that that is an exception that is allowable. And then the last two, I think, really had to do more with special education. Mr. Cassidy, I believe you've been trying to hook up with and connect with Deanna and Emily, but struggling through our email server that's been causing some problems.
Yeah, I think we got to work around. Hi, Deanna. So I did hear back from Deanna. We're in the process of setting something else, meeting up with Dr. Baltar, the chairperson at the middle school, and Mr. Gavalis, who's the middle school chairperson, principal, to talk about the idea of supporting our ABA class. I know there were some questions about a playground. So we touched base finally, so thank you for your patience, and we're going to be setting that up very soon. Thank you.
And that's it for old business.
Thank you to all for the information. We appreciate it. And Mr. Defini, since we're talking to you, may we have your monthly update now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna ask the board to, I guess, join us in the audience in just a minute. We have our annual. We've been doing this again long before I started. I was watching Mr. Lorenz do it when he was the business official 20 plus years ago. The tax levy presentation that's been a part of our culture here to explain to the community, anyone that's at the board meeting, and we're going to navigate a way to try to share this with the greater Farmingdale community, because I think there's not a lot of people in the audience tonight, but there's a lot of people that would probably be interested in how all of this stuff works and why things happen with regard to particular tax bills. So we're going to work on coming up with a way of sort of sharing this more broadly after tonight's meeting. But I am going to ask the board to join the community in the audience. Mr. Motisi is going to take the stage and kind of talk you through exactly what transpired this year with regard to the way the taxes were apportioned after the budget was approved last spring. So again, just join us in the audience. If the community could give us just a minute while we get ourselves set up, you'll be a part of the presentation as well once Mr. Motisi gets himself set.
All right. All right, good evening. So as Paul had mentioned, we're here to talk about the 25-26 tax levy, voter-approved tax levy, and the implications of the tax levy and how it, more importantly, how it's allocated to the residents. So this time of year, I start to get phone calls from residents regarding their taxes. Their property tax bills hit for the town of Oyster Bay in October. So I do get a lot of phone calls, and my goal with each of those conversations is to explain what the levy is and how it gets allocated to the homes. That's really our job. That's really our function. It's really all that I can provide. Residents don't always like the answer that I give, but they do understand. Usually at the end of the conversation, they are appreciative of the time that I spent with them to kind of explain it, because it is complicated, and it is further complicated here in Farmingdale because we have two taxing jurisdictions. Right, so we have Nassau and Suffolk County. So I'm going to kind of try and walk through this. I'm going to throw some terminology out there that may sound new to some people. You may think you knew what it meant, but I'm going to explain that it might mean something else. So most importantly, I want to start with, what is the tax levy? So the tax levy is what the voters approved for the district to levy, which means in May of 2025, the voters approved a 2.28% increase on our tax levy. Now, that tax levy does not always translate to 2.28% on your tax bill. Your tax bill and the tax levy are two different things, but everybody always kind of thinks that they're the same. We're going to go into why it's different, but the tax levy is the necessary taxes to support the programs here in Farmingdale. Every school district has its own levy. Every municipality has its own levy. So the villages, the cities, the towns, they all have a levy. And then that levy gets allocated differently to houses. Some of the terminology you're going to hear tonight and you need to understand is where this information is coming from. So tax rate factors, assessed values, base proportions, equalization rates, all of this and a few more are what drive taxes to individual homes. It's what drives your tax rate. It's what drives how much an individual house is going to pay, or a property, because it does impact commercial properties and condos. All that the district inputs is the tax levy. So the base proportions, sticking with Nassau County, there are 4 classes of property in Nassau County. We have residential, which is your class 1 and your largest portion of properties. You have your class 2 properties, class 3, and class 4. So you have condos and co-ops are class 2s, class 3s are utilities, and then class 4 is commercial properties. So once we know how much needs to be allocated to taxpayers, we need to then determine how much each category of taxpayers is going to be responsible for. That's, again, provided by the county to the district. Market value versus assessed value. So this goes back to the reassessment that was done 5, 6, 7 years ago now, I guess. If you go on My Nassau Property, and we're going to go there in a minute so you can see what it looks like, the market value versus the assessed value are 2 different things. So your market value is what the county is saying is the probable value of your home. Now, it is very different from what your home will sell for. This is them putting a value and then assigning a factor of 0.1 to it to come to an assessed value. And I'm going to lose some people right here, but you take that, you multiply it by the tax rate, you divide it by 100, which ultimately is how you get to your taxes. This is what I walk people through when I speak with them on the phone. I kind of say what I'm doing as they're on the phone. Nassau County and Suffolk County, or specifically the town of Babylon and the town of Oyster Bay, assess properties differently. So here in Farmingdale, we have what's known as a special equalization rate, and the equalization rate determines how much Nassau is going to pay and how much Suffolk is going to pay of the levy. In a perfect world, it would be 75% and 25% every single year. But because market values of homes and the assessed values and the assessing practices are different in both counties, there's fluctuations. So the state gives us a special equalization rate, which determines how much will go. So in the world that we live in, it doesn't go 75-25 every year. It goes 73 some years, 78 some years, and it moves back and forth. Last year, the problem that we had here in Farmingdale was there was a 0 change in the equalization rate and the assessed values on the Nassau County side, while there was a corresponding decrease on the town of Babylon side. And when the equalization rates start to go down, it means properties are appreciating faster, and Babylon ended up picking up more of the levy last year than it has in any year that I've ever seen. And that was what happened last year. Again, all of these factors that go into what I just talked about are provided to us. They are given to us. I input them in a spreadsheet, and then it determines the tax rates that go out to each of the homes. All of that is in this complicated, well, this is a summarized version of what I do, but what I want to highlight is on the top we have the 25-26 school year, and on the bottom is the 24-25. We have the apportioned base, the assessed values, totals for each district, the equalization rates in each district, the full value, which is that divided by that, and then the apportionment. So as you can see, for the 24-25 school year, the apportionment was 75% Nassau County and 25% Babylon. This year, it's 76.3% in Nassau County and 23.6% in Babylon. So it's starting to go back a little bit, but not nearly as much as it did last year. Also on this page, so you can see the tax levies, right? So we had a change in apportionment of 4% on the Nassau County side and a negative 3% on the Suffolk County side. That's showing that we're going from Suffolk County's responsibility last year was $35 million on the tax levy versus $33.9 million this year. And this is all factored, this is all done by, again, the assessed values, the equalization rates that are provided to us from the counties and the state. These are the classes of properties, sticking with Nassau County only because it works a little bit different in Suffolk. But Class 1, as I mentioned, is residentials, homes. Last year was 85.9%. This year it went up to 86.5%. Again, residential properties pick up the lion's share of the tax levy for school districts. Also, the county gives us the average assessed value or the average taxable value. So what we do is we take the tax rate, which is given to us again as a factor of everything we just discussed tonight, but they also, Nassau County then also provides the tax rate to us along with some other information they give us. You multiply the tax rate by the average taxable value, you divide it by 100, and you get what the average home is going to be paying here in Farmingdale for school taxes. So last year, the actual average, if you had an average home in Farmingdale, you had an assessed value of $430. You paid a tax rate of $1,947, which equated to $8,372 in school taxes. This year, you follow it forward. The average taxable value went down a little bit, but the tax rate went up, creating average taxable value of $8,757, or a year-over-year increase of $385 or 4.61%. Then on the bottom, just to highlight it again, the voters approved a 2.28% levy increase. So the question that I get every October when I get these phone calls is, why did I approve a 2% levy increase and my taxes went up by 5%? And the answer was everything that I just kind of went through with the equalization rates, the assessed values, and everything. It's the same thing on the Suffolk County side. So you take your average taxes, you multiply it by the tax rate to come up with a taxable value. Because of what happened with the equalization rates this year, starting to see a swing in the other direction, and there was a drop of $402 or 4.28%. In a little while, I'm going to walk you through some examples of two houses here in Farmingdale, Nassau County, on the same block, a couple of houses away from each other. That's really going to be, I think, eye-opening for a lot of people. Before we get there, average residential taxes paid by neighboring school districts. So I looked at all of our surrounding districts, Nassau County only, to show where we sit, where the green line, versus where everyone else's sits. So you have varying average assessed values ranging from 466 to 570, 422 to 570. And you have estimated average taxes paid ranging from $12,000 all the way down to $6,000. Now, there's a number of variables that can go into these as well. Some of these districts have higher commercial properties. Some of them have higher pilot properties. But again, just wanted to have some sort of a comparative up here for everyone to see where we sit in terms of property taxes versus our neighbors. My Nassau property, if you don't know this website and you're interested in knowing anything about your taxes, you should go here. When I'm on the phone with residents, this is the website that I pull up. You can look up your house by your section, block, and lot, or you can look it up by your address. It will take you to a page that looks like this. I've been using this slide since the 2021 school year, but nothing's changed. It's still all the same. You look for the school year, the corresponding school year. You click on general and school taxes right over here, and then that will take you to what you pay for your county taxes, what you pay for your school taxes. If you live in the village, they will not be up there. You have to contact the village to get those numbers. But county and school is up there. And you can look at different years, and you can see how your rates have changed. You can see all the exemptions that you receive, whether it's STAR, senior citizens, firefighters, volunteers, veterans, any exemptions, everything's listed on that website. And you can see what changed from year to year, and that's how I figure out for residents why their taxes went up or down. So this is the example I wanted to walk everyone through, and it's probably the most eye-opening part of this presentation, which is these are two houses in Farmingdale, as I mentioned, Nassau County side, on the same block. One house, the house on the left, has never grieved their assessed value. So that's another thing I want to just clarify for 1 second. You don't grieve your taxes, you grieve your assessed value. Your assessed value goes up and down based on everything that we've been talking about, home prices. If you want it to go down, you have to grieve it and compare it to other homes. So this home on the left is a 1,658 square foot living space. This is, again, according to Nassau County's website. I did see a picture of the house. It doesn't look very updated. Not underkept, but not well maintained, not new. It's on a good piece of property. With the voter approved levy, this household is seeing a 5.22% increase in taxes. Again, the voters approved a 2.28% increase in taxes. So this person saw a $492 increase in their taxes year over year, or 5.22%. If the levy was zero and the voters approved no increase in the levy, this taxpayer would still have seen a 2.87% increase in taxes. Taking that one step further, if the levy went down by 2.28%, they would have seen a 0.52% increase in their taxes. They still would not, even under a negative levy, they still would not have seen a reduction in taxes. House number two. House number two consistently grieves their taxes every single year. You can look back and there's 15 to plus years of grievances in there. This house, 2,354 square feet of living space. Brand new house practically. Looks beautiful from the pictures. They're paying more in taxes by about $1,000, not even, and they only saw a 2.48% increase in their taxes, again, on a 2.28% levy increase. Under a zero, they would have seen practically no increase in their taxes, and under a negative levy, they would have seen a negative 2%. They would have seen a reduction in their taxes. So what's happening here is House 2 is consistently grieving their assessed value, which is resulting in lower tax increases. They're paying less taxes per square foot for their living space than the other home, and the taxes are being shifted from house number 2 to house number 1 because they're not grieving. So anytime there's an exemption applied for, an exemption given, anytime an assessed value is grieved and lowered, the levy doesn't change. The levy gets shifted to other residents, other properties, other individuals to pick up the difference. Does anyone have any questions from the board on this? Because that's really, after this, I'm going to go into a few little things that's not really as impacting as this.
There we go. Okay. 2 questions, Mike. So going back to where you talked about the exact increase, the 4 point whatever percent versus the tax levy, is that directly affected by what the tax levy percentage is? So if the tax levy percentage was slightly lower or slightly higher, would that directly affect that overall number?
You're talking about on this slide?
No, previous
When it says
to this.
2.28 compared to 4.51.
Oh, the tax rates. Sorry.
The
let me
tax
get there.
rates, yeah.
Let me get there. Let me pull it up.
Thank you, buddy.
This one.
Yes.
Okay, so just what was your question again?
So we were at a 2.28
Yes.
levy, right? Let's say it was higher at 2.5% or lower at 2%. Is this overall tax rate, like that 4.61 overall, is that affected by the levy number?
That would fluctuate, yes.
That would fluctuate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I do that. That's why I did the comparative on the 2 properties, because as you can see, when I lowered, I didn't do a higher levy, but I did the 2.28, the 0, and then a negative. So as you do that, the tax rates change, and the taxes change.
Okay. And then just one more question, something that came up in the audit committee yesterday that I found interesting, and I think we all saw a little bit of an increase depending on whether you grieve or not on our taxes this year. So is it okay to talk about it at this point? Right. So there was a tax abatement where the district's property taxes were reduced by $11.7 million under agreements with Nassau County and Town of Babylon. And I know that a part of that abatement was paid through pilot payment programs, about $5 million. So I'm just having a hard time understanding why, whether it's the state or the counties work it this way, where the balance of that $6.5 million is the burden of the taxpayer. I kind of have a mental block with how that all works. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so kind of complicated, kind of politics, a lot of politics involved with IDAs, right? So IDAs, industrial development agencies, their purpose is to bring business to New York, bring business to Long Island. The way they do that is they have to incentivize these businesses to come. One of the ways to do that, because New York is one of the highest tax-paying states around, is they say, we're going to give you the ability to pay less on your taxes, which is going to improve your profit margin, right? So your bottom line is going to go up because now you're paying less in taxes. But you still have to pay something, and you still have to prove, this is the IDA, you need to develop a business model that's going to prove and show to us that whatever you're doing is going to bring business into the area, it's going to bring revenue into the area, it's going to create jobs, things like that. It's going to better the area, right? Because you want businesses to come here to provide all that stuff. They're going to pay taxes, they're going to pay income taxes, sales taxes, they're going to pay employees. I don't know all the specifics behind all of that, so I can't get into that, but that's the function of an IDA. When an IDA comes to the area, though, the only way they can pay less in taxes is if they come off the rolls. So the business itself disappears, more or less, from a tax roll, right? But going back to the levy, which was the first slide where I started talking about levy. The levy is still the levy. The levy still needs to be collected. So that levy gets dispersed around all the other classes of property. Now, in New York State, with the tax cap law, we do subtract out from, when we're doing that calculation, we're not allowed to include those factors in the tax cap calculation, so we always back out whatever we're going to receive in pilots before we're able to arrive at the allowable levy limit. So really, to answer your question is, yes, the abated properties are falling off the tax rolls. Nobody's seeing them anymore. The levy's still being collected. It's being collected from others, and then they're paying a smaller tax, property tax, on their property that the IDA then remits to the district. And then each year of the pilot property, some go for 10 years, some go up to 20 years. Each year, it goes up a little bit per their agreement with the IDA. So they pay a little bit more each year. Correct. Yep. Any other questions from the board regarding this scenario right here and how taxes are allocated? Okay. Star information. So basic, there's two types of star, right? There's basic and there's enhanced star. And then within the basic and the enhanced, we'll go into that in a little bit, but there's the exemption and there's the credit. So if you bought your house prior to, I think it's 2015, you most likely receive the star exemption, right? So the star exemption is your property taxes are $8,000, you receive a star exemption of $2,000, so you only pay to the county $6,000. The star credit is you pay the full $8,000, and the state sends you a check each fall. So there is a benefit to being on the credit, this was the legislature passed this. I don't remember what year it was, but they're not growing the exemption anymore. They grow the credit. So they're almost incentivizing you to pay the school taxes in full up front, and they will send you a bigger credit check than you would get if you just let it remain on your tax bill and you pay less. Doesn't seem fair, but that's what they're doing. I believe it was because of cash flow purposes that they started implementing this a few years ago. It helps them manage their cash better. There are some income limits. So if your income is greater than $250,000 and less than or equal to 500, you must enroll in the STAR credit program. That's where you pay the full amount up front. If your income is less than 250, you should enroll in the credit program. New homeowners have to enroll in the credit. STAR eligibility, primary residence. It can't be a rental home. It has to be your primary house. Ownership, age. So there are no age restriction for the basic, but in order to receive the enhanced STAR, which is significantly more, you must be over 65 and meet the income limits as well. So it's based off of, the next year's STAR will be based off of your 2024 return. So this year, if you're receiving STAR, it's because they looked at your 2023 tax return. For the 26-27 school year, it will be off of your 2024 tax return. And for the enhanced STAR, it's $110,750 or less. All right? You can find more information about the STAR program on the New York State website. As I mentioned, the exemption versus the credit, we just talked about that. And then STAR maximum. So the STAR maximum savings are not what taxpayers save in every instance. It's the maximum that they could save. So there is a sliding scale depending on income levels and other varying factors. Some important deadlines. So as you know, most people probably already know around here, the tax payments, tax bills did start to go out in Nassau County. They will start to go out later on in the year for Babylon. January 2nd is really the due date for all exemptions and STAR applications. Any changes you want to make to your STAR, or if you want to apply for a Nassau County exemption, that is due by January 2nd. And then the assessment grievance process usually runs January 2nd through March 1st, although they typically do extend it later than March 1st every single year. But those are the dates that I keep up here on an annual basis. That's it. Any other questions from the board regarding taxes? Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah. No, good. I will get this posted to our website. I post it to the website every single year on my page, so I will post this for informational purposes. We're also working on putting something together to push out to the community that kind of explains this in like a one-pager. It's kind of challenging to do, but we're working on it. So we're going to have something out soon. Yep.
Mike, sorry, just one more question. Can you go back to the exemption slide for STAR exemptions? If somebody was having an issue with exemptions for STAR, where would they go to? What kind of resources do we have for them to?
They'd have to call the state.
The state.
Yeah, so anytime you're having trouble with an exemption, so if it's a STAR, you have to call the state. If it's a Nassau County exemption, like a firefighter, veterans, senior citizens with limited income or disabilities, that one you would call Nassau County on. That information I don't have in this presentation, but
Specifically senior citizens, I'm aware of a senior citizen that had an issue with doing a withdrawal from an annuity that took them over that limit, and it was a one-time withdrawal, and they lost enhanced STAR because of it, and I think they had a tough time navigating.
yeah, there are income limits that apply to those exemptions in order for you to receive them. I do get calls like that often where like, why did my taxes go up so dramatically? Well, what happened last year? Oh, I sold a ton of stock, or I was a recipient of something that impacted their income. And like I said, the STAR unit is looking at your they're looking at your income statement. So when they cross-reference it, it may take them 2 years because it's 2 years behind, but when they catch it, they're going to get that back or they're going to reduce it.
And we also, over here, we also attend the senior citizen meetings. I've already been to one earlier this year. We're going to go to one in the next month or so where we'll do this talk or some form of this talk for them as well and help them to navigate that system to the best of our ability, or at least point them in the right direction, because there are complexities that are heartbreaking where people don't even realize. That annuity question came up a lot when I was the business official in Mike's spot, and I answered that question a lot. Nothing really changed except I just cashed money out because I hit an age that required me to start taking a mandatory amount of money from the annuity, and now that put me into a different income threshold, and now all of a sudden, the money that I got is actually equaling the amount of additional taxes that I have to pay. So these are like nuancy things that we try to work through with our seniors, and we do make the time. I remember, doing house visits, when necessary with our senior citizens to try to navigate the process. It's complex, but we try to do the best we can being there for them. And I know the county does the same. They have seminars and things like that set up for the senior citizens at the library to help navigate their taxes. It's a great question.
It's 110,750 for the enhanced star. That's for next year.
Great. And anyone else in the audience that does have a question, we're going to open up the mic for public participation, and you can fire away in just a little bit. We're just going to get reset back up on the stage. Give us a couple more minutes, and we'll open up the mic for any questions that you might have.
Ready. Thank you again, TC, for the presentation and for the information and explanations. We appreciate that. I'd like to open the meeting for our first public participation opportunity. If you come to the mic, please be sure to clearly state your name and address. The meeting is now yours.
Hello? Yeah, okay. Will Andrew, 89 Crestwood Boulevard. I think Mr. Montisi must have been listening into my phone over the weekend when he gave that presentation there, because I got my tax bill in, and again my radar went up. The specific problem I have is that I'm 62 years old, I'm medically retired, I'm on SSDI. I was earning in excess of 150k a year, and now my income has dropped way down. Unfortunately, we're getting the star, but that's all we get, because my wife obviously, with her earnings, takes us well over the amount. I'm probably one of these people that fall into the category of always billing my taxes, because as Mr. Defendini might remember, we had quite a few talks around about 2015 when I first figured out exactly what was going on. But anyway, so again, I haven't appealed on my own for a few years. I've been using a company, and I spoke with Andrew Maidenbaum, and he exactly went over what Mike was saying there about the increase in school taxes, even when the assessed value has came down. So for me, over a period of 3 years, being on SSDI, that's a lot of money. $2,000 is a lot of money when you've been earning over 150k and suddenly you're down to less than 50. And the other problem, as Michael Montisi was saying there, is that if I go and take money out of my annuity, then my taxes are going to go up and I'm going to lose that benefit. So I'm caught in a catch-22 situation about what to do and how to figure it out. But really the worst thing is, and I'll tell you right now, since 2009 when we moved here, I've always voted against the school budget because I've seen this coming. And the reason I've seen it coming is because I did do an MBA, so I don't understand everything. I do understand it to a certain extent. And when you look at the tax, school taxes for Farmingdale, the increase from 2009 through 2025 is incredible.
I'm sorry, sir, just not to cut you off, but we have a 3-minute limit. If you had a question to ask, you can ask it now. Otherwise, we have another public participation opportunity. You can come back up to the mic
Well,
at
it's
the
quite
second time.
important, so just let me finish this sentence, please. So what I have noticed is the increase in salaries and benefits since 2009, but recently it's been round about 77%. So 77% of the school budget.
Sir, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to stop you, only because we have to follow the rules. You can come back up the second time, because if you have more to say, I don't want to, but we do have to move on. So
Well, yeah,
I'll ask you to please take a seat. We can come back up for the second public participation chance.
And even after that, we can continue the conversation informally.
Alrighty, thank you, everyone. Mrs. Fulham, have we received any correspondence this month?
Yes, Mr. Morales, the board received emails from a parent regarding transportation, an email from a student regarding a new club at the high school, and an email from a resident regarding security guards.
Thank you very much. Ms. Meyer, may we have your monthly update, please?
Thank you. I just wanted to share some updates that I have within our school community. First off, we have our annual Pink Out game coming up on the 18th against Massapequa. So there's lots of excitement within our school, not only to support our football team and for them to hopefully win, but also to raise awareness and funds for breast cancer research through the Make Sense at a Breast Cancer fundraiser, which is run by the Smith family. Along with this, I wanted to share an update regarding the college fairs. Deanna and I spoke to Ms. Stillwell on Monday, and we're exploring ways to increase student participation at the fairs, especially for seniors. And one of the possibilities that we're looking into is, for the future, encouraging teachers to let their students briefly leave class to attend the fairs, so they'll have the opportunity to speak to and get information about about different colleges. So I'm happy to say that we're working towards a way to balance class time with the chance for seniors to explore college options. Thank you.
Thank you very much again for all of your ideas and your colleagues' ideas as well. We really appreciate it. Keep up the great work, and we'll see you in a month, right? Thank you. Are there any board committee reports? No.
Good evening. So a lot of the committees have, well, some of them, I should say, rather, has started up. I know Shared Decisions started this week. It's in the early phases, so it didn't start this week, but I couldn't make the first meeting. But there's a lot to do with that, so I'll probably have more to report on that after the next meeting. But I do want to make mention the meet and greet for SEPTA is always one of my favorites of the year, our special ed PTA. Miss Gina Brinskell, who's our SEPTA leader, president this year, did a fantastic job getting parents, some new parents, a lot of new faces this year. And I wanted to also personally thank so many people from our staff from every one of our buildings. We had building administration from every single one of our 6 buildings. We had our special ed department there, many of our service providers, teachers, psychologists. It was impressive, and I think the new parents that were there really got a taste of the amount of work that goes into it, but the care from our staff. So that was extremely well attended. I want to say Northside's cafeteria was filled, wall to wall, standing room only. And even though I was there early, I was one of the standers in the corner. But it was really nice to see that. So it was a very welcoming night. And I know tomorrow night is the open house at the high school. I've been to the Albany Avenue open house. And lots going on. I'm sure the reports will start rolling in the next month or so as we continue gearing up. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Yes, the committees are up and running. This week coming up, or into next week, we have the Legislative Action Committee. This Friday, we have the policy. We got a lot of policies to look at. And Mike, you'll be running that part of it, right? So I'll see you on Friday. Farmingdale Chamber of Commerce has been very busy. They're busy 24/7. And a lot of community events coming up. The Chamber of Commerce is holding a fundraiser on October 23rd. It is comedy night, and the tickets are on sale on their website. It's going to be held at 317 Main. There's 4 new comedians that are local and in the surrounding metro area that are going to come perform. A lot of the money that is raised goes to scholarships for our high school seniors and people in our community who actually who need help. So come on down, go on the website. You have to get a ticket before, no walk-ins. So please help out with that. And like I said, the money goes to our community. Also, we have coming up and the annual Columbus Day Fair, which the village is running, the carnival, the street fair, the parade. So go on the website for the village, and you can go on the chamber website as well if you're looking for specific times and dates of everything. Lots happening in our community. And Farmingdale Youth Council, if you're interested in any of the programs, you can go on the Farmingdale Youth Council website. We have several member organizations that have openings, and the Youth Council itself has a winter program that was starting to run, so registration is still open for some of the events and activities. Also, let's see, we had a State Fee Committee meeting that the committee's working on a few things so we can get the information out there as to what's going on. And looking into, let's see what else. Oh, so much going on, wonderful things, but I think I'll, right now we'll hold on to, oh wait, Holiday Parade. So we have the Farmingdale High School, what group do they do again? The Safe Halloween Truck and Treat. That's gonna be held on the 24th, it's a Saturday. And in sync with that, we also have the Village Halloween Parade. So look on those 2 websites to see, because you can do 5 things in one day if you're ready to move and go. And it's a great community to have all these events. The parade, I think, starts at 1 o'clock. Go on the website and check, but there's parade, there's also village things go on same day. You go to the high school, I think Suzanne, remember what time it starts at the high school? 11? I believe the trunk or treat? Yeah, we got so much going on, so I don't want to give you the wrong dates, but I wish I had it in front of me, but, oh yeah, okay. The Village Halloween Parade is 1 o'clock on October 25th it is. The parade starts right by the Candy's Jewelry Store. Into the parking lot, number 4, and come on down. They have Safe Halloween going on that day. The high school one starts at 11:30 to 1. That's a trunk or treat, and that's at the high school. So come on down, bring your kids, dress up, and have fun. If anyone could add to that, I just don't have the dates of everything in front of me right now.
I will just add a couple of things. I'll echo what Suzanne said about those PTA meetings. Incredible start to the PTA meetings this year. That SEPTA meeting was, wow, very impressive. I mean, there must have been, what, 200 or 300 people in that room. Some great stories shared. So, and a lot of resources that SEPTA provides parents. I attended the Woodward Parkway PTA meeting, the high school, all copacetic. Audit committee was yesterday. It was my first time on audit committee. That was really interesting. And I will say that some of the community members of the audit committee are just so impressive and really necessary to helping us dig into these audits and understanding the financial statements of the district. I mean, some of these people I knew, some of them I was just meeting, but wow, what an impressive group that asked some really, really thoughtful questions during that meeting, to help us sort of understand some of the things. That tax abatement question that I asked earlier stemmed from a conversation that happened in the audit committee meeting last night. So very, very informative and really helped me understand the budget and the financials of the district a lot better. And shared decision making, as Suzanne mentioned, so excited about the direction of that committee. That committee, I happened to be on that before I became a board member. Spent a couple of years really doing a lot of the groundwork before the district really jumped into the portrait of a graduate, before the state really jumped into it. And now that committee now is going into a direction where we're actually executing on some really fun stuff that's coming up for the district. So, and then the last one is just PAL update. Basketball registration closed, but we are hoping to open up the new special needs basketball program registration in November. We need some help with that. We're having some difficulties with headquarters getting that one established. So if you're in favor of a special needs basketball program for PAL, please send an email to farmingdalebasketballpal@gmail.com just to share your thoughts on it and that you want it to happen, and we will happily forward that over to Nassau County PAL headquarters. That's it.
I have one more. I'm sorry. I don't know how I forgot this, or any of us forgot this. Many of us were there, but the Marching for All event that took place on Saturday. I know some familiar faces in the audience were there that night, but if you weren't aware of it, I mean, there was a lot of promotions going on regarding it, but it's an All Abilities drumline, the Calhoun drumline, who collaborated, specifically reached out, sought out Farmingdale's marching band, because we are the best, we know that. At least I think so. Many of us think so. But they collaborated together, and the stands were filled at the high school. The weather was perfect. The sunset was like off a Bob Ross painting. It was absolutely spectacular. But the smiles on these individual faces and the crowd in the stands who were clapping and dancing, they had solos, and then the marching band along with the Calhoun drumline performed Sweet Caroline together. And I mean, what a sense of community. And the takeaway, I think many of us were there and we were talking about, like, hope every student, every person sitting in our bleachers, anybody and everybody that was there had the same takeaway that we had, in that everybody can work together. We're all meant to work together. We all have the same end game, and it's to collaborate and to, live happily and do what we love together. And I saw that, and the pride was palpable. So I don't know how I missed it, but nonetheless, missed talking about it because I was there. But yeah, I had to make mention of that. And I appreciate all the work of our music department, Mr. Warnikowski and Mr. Damasi and Mr. A. I'm probably going to forget a million names, so I'm going to stop there. But there was a lot of behind the scenes. I know there's some filmmaking that was done behind the scenes as well, and something will come out about that. So pay attention to that, and I'm looking forward to see where that goes. But it was a really feel-good night in Farmingdale that night. So thank you.
Just one more thing to add, just to clarify before I begin, this is not a Farmingdale School District vote, this is a Nassau-BOCES vote. Nassau-BOCES is holding a public referendum on Thursday, October 16th, asking voters to consider a plan that includes the purchase of a school, sale of a vacant property, and capital improvements to enhance safety and accessibility at 2 existing facilities. So again, not a Farmingdale School District vote, but it is affecting the general schools in our area. If you want some more voter information on that, that is at the Nassau-BOCES website.
Thank you, everyone. May I have a motion now to approve the minutes of the August 20, 2025 regular board meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the August 20th, 2025 regular board meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of items 2A through AS to be approved as whole with action recorded separately.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to open our meeting for our second public participation opportunity. Again, please state your name and address clearly when you come up to the mic, and the meeting again is back to you.
Well, Andrew, 89 Crestwood Boulevard, Farmingdale. So the point I was trying to make there was that if you look at the school budget, which was, I think it was 206 million, and I just worked it out again over the weekend, so the salary and benefits portion of that was 77%, which is quite a substantial increase since when I first moved here in 2009, and I'm just wondering if anyone can explain to me how that's going to be sustainable over the coming years. So that's my first question.
If you could just ask your questions, we'll write them down. That way, if you do run out of time, we will have had all your questions and we can answer them all. So just fire away with all your questions.
Yeah, okay. My second question is that one I spoke about a long time ago as well. The taxes are predominantly based on the assessed property values, correct, and the apportioned payment thereof. But part of the problem is that if you, as Paul said, if you grieve your taxes, then the school budget still has to be made up. So that amount of money is apportioned to somebody else. So the actual resident is not getting anything, because if you're saving 2,000, you're paying half of that to the company that's fighting your case for you. So it's a no-win situation. It's again unsustainable, and it's almost a Ponzi scheme. And I'm just wondering if you don't think there's any other way that we can sort that out. Personally speaking, I don't understand why the size of my house should have anything to do with the school budget. I mean, if I've got one kid in the school district and I'm paying 10 grand in school taxes, and my next door neighbour, his house is half the size of mine, but he's got 3 kids in the school district and he's paying 10 grand. That means I'm paying 10 grand for one kid, and he's paying 3.333 whatever for his kids. I mean, there's definitely something wrong there. And I just don't understand how Farmingdale can continue with this. Like I said, I remember discussing it with Paul ages and ages ago, and there was no conceivable way of fixing it because it was the way everything's always been done. But unless somebody tries to do something about it, we're all going to be up shit creek without a paddle. Thank you.
So, first off, it is nice to see you again, Mr. Andrews. I'm sorry under these circumstances, but I remember fondly we had a lot of different conversations over the years, and I remember you paying very acute attention to the details of our conversation. And for those of you that don't know, before I was the superintendent, I was in Mike's seat. I was the business official. I did this for 11 years, so I got a chance to know the system pretty well. And it is a very problematic system. And I remember sort of that light bulb going off above your head in one of our conversations when you did understand it, and you couldn't understand how that could possibly be the way that things work. But the reality is we have to work within the confines of the systems that we're given. We don't have control over that system. We've voiced concerns connected to the way that the assessing system works. I think tonight was another point of evidence to that fact, the concerns that we have with the assessing system, that you can have two houses, right? Mike brought that example up. You have two houses, neighbors to one another. One is notably larger than the other one's smaller, and even based upon the system that's actually been contrived, it doesn't work because it's not even doing what it's supposed to be doing, because if you're just sophisticated enough to know you grieve your taxes every year, your taxes don't go up. Your taxes will either remain the same or maybe go up a fraction of a percent, or in many instances, based upon whatever our levy is for the year, your taxes could go down year over year, but that means that everybody else is going to pay for the amount of savings that you achieved on your taxes. It's the way that the Nassau County system has designed it. They've designed this system to be based upon your property value. So basically what they're saying is if your property is nicer, it must mean that you have more opportunity, or the opportunity, the ability to pay more in property taxes. That is the system that's been established. It's not going anywhere, to my knowledge, and even if there were to be concerns, it wouldn't be concerns at this table, because we have nothing to do with that. So I understand your frustration. I also understand the frustrations with splitting the money with the companies who are doing the grieving for you. That was also a good point. I've done that for years. I know that Mike still works with residents to help them do that so that they don't have to split up the money. They can just keep it all themselves. We don't get a cut of it when we help you do it. We can sort of navigate that process so that you get the full benefit of whatever the savings are. You know, I did it for years. John did it before me, and I know that Mike still does some of that work to try to help people navigate some of those processes. So that's the best that we could do, is just try to help people do it on their own. We can't do it for them, but we can help them. And to your last point, I'd like to dig a little deeper with your inquiry about the percentage of salaries going up. So what I can say to you is, yeah, roughly between 75 in any given year and 80% of the budget is spent on the salaries and benefits for instructional programs. I think you might be looking at the 3-part budget, but there has not been any 70+% increase in salaries and benefits over anywhere near the last decade. The salary increases and benefit increases have gone up. I'm not denying the fact that they've gone up, but nowhere to that amount. So I'd love to maybe sit down with you after the meeting. If you wouldn't mind staying for a few minutes, we can even exchange information, and maybe sit down and talk through a little bit where you're getting that information from, so I can better understand and answer that question. Is that fair?
That's fair, but I can answer that question just now. The salaries and benefit, it comes from the rider that you give us, and underneath it gives you the actual amount of salaries and then benefits.
I'll grab you right after the meeting, and we can go through it. We can sit down and go through that, okay? That way I can hear it. And I'd even be happy to put it as part of old business to keep it part of the public forum, okay?
May I have a motion now to enter into executive session?
I make a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussions related to the employment history of particular employees and advice from the Board of Education attorney.
And collective negotiations with the FOS unit and nurses unit.
Just, I'm adopting what you said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Have a good evening, everyone. We will see everyone again soon.
Have a great night.